Welcome to the DIY3DTech.com channel.
Welcome to this edition of DIY3DTech.com. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the Vinci printer and talk about should you buy one or not. And so I'm going to cover the pros and cons of the printer itself. No Black Fridays coming up here in a few days, Christmas buying season. A lot of questions are going to be out there about buying 3D printers, whether I should buy a Vinci or not. For me, there are three things. There's religion, politics, and should you buy a Vinci. So I kind of want to share my experiences with this. I've got the Vinci Duo. I've worked with other Vincis. You can probably see up here I've got another, actually two up that I built myself. So I'm experienced with other 3D printers, open source 3D printers, building my own. I built CNCs. I've got lasers. So I got all in all a bit of background in the home fabrication arena. And so again, really want to talk about this and dispel some of the myths, give you some of the facts to work with, and then you can take it from there. So again, for those that don't know, the Vinci product line is put out by XYZprinting. So I believe they're a Taiwanese company, and they put out basically what I think is one of the cheapest dollar-wise, keyword here, dollar-wise printers on the market. However, with everything, there's a catch. And what I want to do is back up a little bit. So in the printing world, in the general paper printing world, the modus operandi has been for quite some time is to basically give away the printer and sell the supplies and put big margins on the supplies and make your money there. So in other words, HP, Epson, Brother, they'll basically give you a printer, but you're going to pay through the nose for the ink or the toner or whatever the medium is to print, and that's where they make their money. Obviously, it's either a one-time sale of the printer or it's a repeat sale of the product, and that's where it really excuse me, made a lot of sense for them on the repeat sale of the product to simply give the printer away. Again, it's a one-time sale, so maybe they make $50 or $100, but it's better to make 10 or 20 every month from you as a consumer because you'll keep that printer maybe 3 to 5 years. So this is the model basically that XYZprinting sort of took. So if you buy their printer, at least this existing generation, you basically have to buy their plastic or their cartridges. Now, this is both good and bad. Now, one of the things I'm going to be very upfront, I liken the whole XYZ experience a bit of that of like Apple. So when I say that, when you buy the Vinci or you buy into the XYZ printing concept, you're buying into their own ecosystem. So for example, when you buy into Apple, you have to buy everything from the Apple App Store. There's no other side loading, there's no other stores actually legitimately anyway, etc. So you've got to go through Apple, you got to go through their ecosystem, and the advantage is it just works. And that's a little bit with the XYZ printing system here. So because if you're not experienced with 3D printing, it can be a little bit of a daunting task because you have to understand what should your bed temperature be, because this is primarily an ABS printer. So what should your bed temperature be? What should the filament temperature be for your extruders? How fast should you feed it? Blah, 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 blah. And the thing is if you're really into 3D printing, it's a great thing because it allows you to experiment. Basically, Vinci or XYZ takes that away because in the bottom of each one of these little gizmos is a chip. And basically this chip, when it goes in the machine, tells it what type of plastic there is, how much plastic there is, and what the temperatures all should be for a successful print. So the good thing is, you, the user, don't have to worry about it. You put it in, it knows, it goes to work, and it does its thing. The other piece is XYZ uses proprietary software. So most folks out there use RepRap, etc. Not RepRap, but Repetier Host, sorry, as the main driver. So there's Pronterface, Repetier Host, Octoprint, and so there's a lot of different options. However, I will warn you, is if you're not into 3D printing, those can get a little bit daunting and a little bit complex. So one of the things that I like to explain to people who are interested in 3D printing is to select the side of the fence you're on. Because for me, that there's two sides of the fence. There's one side I like to 3D print, and I want to be able to 3D print in all kinds of strange ways, all kinds of strange filaments. My goal is to 3D print. The outcome of it is ancillary to 3D printing, and that's great. There's a lot of great YouTube channels out there with folks coming up with all kinds of great things, and it's very cool. Nothing against those folks. The other camp is I have another hobby, I have another interest that I need to create a 3D print for. I don't really care about all the dynamics of 3D printing. I simply want to create a part, and I want to get something out of that part. For example, the way I actually got started in 3D printing myself is I wanted this. It's very simple. It's a cable bracket for, I have a high-end stereo, and I wanted cable brackets to make it look nicer, cable ties. So what happens is the audio cable from the speakers clip in here, and it keeps it nice and straight on the floor rather than just all kind of jumbled. So I've got a CNC machine, and I thought about machining this out of CNC, but then I thought, that's really going to be kind of hokey because of the thickness of the material, and I wanted springiness. And you notice that I've got this little lip here to catch the cable. It's been kind of hard in the CNC, kind of not what it's designed for in a way. So I went out and I bought this printer. I did my research because this is what I wanted. I really at the time did not care about 3D printing. And I got to be honest with you, even a little bit today, I don't care about 3D printing. I just want to put something in, get something out, and move on. I don't have a lot of time to fuss with things and, oh my gosh, I forgot this setting. Or do I use Cura? Do I use Slicer? Because that's the other big thing is you have to decide which slicer you like best. And again, if you're on this side of the fence where 3D printing is your thing, you're going to want to do that because you got a lot of flexibility. If you're on the other side of the fence, you just want to clip for your speakers and you're really not interested in how this clip happens so much, then you're on the other side of the camp. And this is where the DaVinci really comes in. Because I got to tell you, I've had this duo, and I should qualify what that means. Duo is it has two print heads, so it has two cartridges in the back of it. That if I flip up the top, they actually go in the back. They go in the back and slip in there. So right now I've got red and blue inside the machine right now, and so I can actually print in two colors at one time. So I could print a traffic cone that was red and blue, or whatever color combination, or I could print blue pieces while I'm printing red pieces at the same time on the bed. So great thing, and I'll talk a little bit about the pros and cons of having dual extruders versus a single. DaVinci also makes a 1.0 and a 1.0A and some different ones with single extruders, and that's a little bit cheaper, and that's an option too. But the piece is because of this, and the loading is relatively simple on these machines and straightforward. So you can go through, load the filament, not a lot of work. Over here, this bad boy, she's going to take a little bit of work. Now, the great thing about this 2-up, which used to be a 2-up, it's highly modified with Bowden extruder, and again, I whipped up all this, is it's great because I can do all kinds of weird stuff with it. However, I got to tell you, if I need something in a hurry, I don't come here. This takes forever and a day. I go here, and I just put it in there. And while I do not recommend it, I leave this running unattended. Now, I do not leave home. My workshop is in the basement. I don't leave home and let this run. But I will go upstairs. I will watch TV. I will just check on it occasionally. This one, I do not trust at all. So I will be in the basement. I might be doing other things. I'm not standing staring at it for 2 or 8 hours, but when I run a job on this, I'm not far away because it tends to do some quirky things, just because of its nature. And not that it's good or bad, but it just tends to do quirky things, so I don't trust it. And you can watch on YouTube, there's a lot of videos of these hot ends starting on fire. This thing, well, anything with an extruder is a fire hazard, so be safe. You also notice in the background, I have fire extinguishers all around my shop down here. I've got the lasers, the CNC. the 3D printers. So I have an ample supply of fire extinguishers. So highly suggest if you have a 3D printing enthusiast or anything like that, buy them a fire extinguisher for Christmas if they don't have one. I can't stress that enough. Safety, safety, safety. The other thing about the Da Vinci's is they have a glass bed. I noticed the newer, the quote-unquote Pro version has an aluminum bed, which is actually good. The glass bed isn't bad. Keep in mind, though, again, like the Apple ecosystem, there's very little in this device you, as a user, can fix yourself unless you're really, really savvy. So, you know, if you're going to buy this, buy it as a turnkey solution, accept it as a turnkey solution, and I think you'll be happy. Now, with that said, let's look at some of the pros of this. So the one thing this does have very nicely is it's got automatic bed leveling. Now, you can see on the internet there's a lot of argument. Is it bed leveling? Is it tamming? I would think it's more so tamming than leveling, because what it does is it touches off, the head touches off these metal brackets I'm touching here, measures the difference. But the key is they can only be within like 20 units off. I'm not sure exactly what a unit is, but when you do the calibration up here, it's in units. And so if it's over 20 units, it doesn't work. But just the fact of having bed tamming at this level is very good. Now, I did add it on this one over here. I'm not sure if you can see in the field of view, but I added a servo and a micro switch, and it does it over here. But this is built in, a lot nicer, a lot smoother. Really pleased with it. But the glass bed is a little bit of a downfall. Now, one of the things I do use is glue. I've had really good luck with just the staples, big stick of staples. Now, I do have a number of glue, so because the unit does come with this UHU, so I've got a bunch of that. I've got Elmer's, but for me, the Staples glue has worked the best, and especially the bigger diameter, because I've been able to get a more even coat on it. So no blue painter's tape for me, no Kapton tape or anything like that. It's just been glue, no acetone slurries, just the glue has worked perfect. Will you get some warping? Yes, you will get warping. The heating of this bed is far from perfect because, again, this bed is a little bit different in the fact it's really not a separate heating element. This heating element is actually attached to the glass, kind of glued on, and it's sort of like a circuit board design. Again, not the best. So when you look at, and if I find it over here and I can dig it out, for another 3D printer which I'm building, I have this bed now. This is a PC based and it's very thick, very heavy, unlike that. And then the glass goes on top of this. So, you know, again, you know, for this was a little short of $700. I can't really complain, but it is a shortcoming. I would not call it heavy duty. So if you're going to be a prosumer of this, your life is going to be reduced on this. And if you can accept it for the money, it's not bad, because again, to get a higher end version of this, you're going to pay over $1,000. You're going to pay almost twice the money for this. So is Da Vinci bad or good? If I had to give it a dollar rating, it would definitely be good, even though the cartridge issue. Now, let's talk about the cartridges for a minute. One of the things, yeah, I was a resetter. Well, actually, I thought about being a resetter. I actually bought a resetting device, but I got to tell you, this was more of a pain in the ass than just buying the cartridges, because part of the thing with the cartridges is that, you know, you can take these apart. They're a pain in the butt to take apart, but you can take them apart and you could technically put new filament in. But remember, the chip keeps count of how much filament's in there. So when this runs out, or runs out of how much it thinks it has, well, then this cartridge, you put it in the printer, it's going to say, hey, this cartridge is empty, even though you refilled it. And so the resetter, basically what happens is this sits in here like this. It plugs into your computer. There's actually an Arduino in there, and it plugs in and basically reprograms it. Now, one of the things to keep in mind, XYZprinting does keep sending down updates to the printer, firmware-wise, and their XYZprinting software, which runs on the computer, because you do need a computer to print with this. or at least send the file to this. After the file is sent, you can remove the computer. It doesn't have to stay attached like to your host. But that is one of the things with this. But buying this filament, it wasn't that bad. Now, what I have here, if I can get it off the wall. Okay, so here is the standard roll. Now, I don't have my glasses on, I forget. Now, this is larger than the spool that comes inside of this. This spool came out of a cartridge. And you can see it's smaller than this. But these two are about the same price. So you are getting probably a third less plastic for the same amount of money as if you buy this. Partly I say so what? Because at the end of the day, it's the ease that I'm buying. Again, if you're just after I want to go print a part, move on, and call it done, I don't want to have to worry about all the setup, then this makes more sense. If you're in the other camp, then it probably makes more sense to look at something else or even do a DIY printer. But again, if you're looking for just, get and go, this is it. Now, the other thing that people complain about, and most of the complaint is around this cartridge, is this chip is imperfect. Sometimes it screws up. Sometimes you can buy a brand new cartridge and it says it's empty, or you make it halfway through and it says it's empty. What I do, I buy my cartridges strictly from Amazon. And if I got a problem, Amazon's great at fixing my problem. So I buy all my plastic through Amazon for that reason. Have I had a problem with a cartridge? Yes. One time I did. And again, Amazon fixed it for me. So I can't complain. I don't buy, as far as the Da Vinci filament, I only buy it through Amazon, and I buy it through Amazon for that reason. Also, it's pretty economical too. I can't complain. Again, for this, it's about 27 bucks for this spool, which I actually also bought off Amazon. I think this was 23, 24 bucks. So a little bit cheaper, about 1/3 more material, but at the end of the day, less headache. Now, the other piece with this that people complain about that you should be aware, in full disclosure, is you can see this still has plastic on it. Not much on this one actually, but it's still got a fair amount of plastic. If I look at this red, I got a whole lot of plastic. Now, the chip told me that this was empty. Wasn't empty. So, what gives? So a lot of people complain, hey, I'm wasting plastic, I'm buying this plastic, XYZ's not using it all, they're forcing me to buy new cartridges earlier. I don't think it's that nefarious, to be honest with you. I think what it is when they wind the plastic on here, it's not quite perfect. I've never measured it, taken a spool apart and measured it and reverse engineered it, but I'm going to guess that they probably err on the side of a little bit too much. And the second piece is when the extruder is extracting this plastic, it's not going to be perfect. And over the course of an entire spool of plastic, there's going to be some amount of error. And actually this white one, I think, or this natural, is probably pretty close to the average, if you see that, because there's not much left on here. So I think it's a combination of a little bit extra in errors in calculating the extruded value, because remember, there's no feedback loop. Nothing's measuring this exactly. It's just counting the steps and saying this many steps should have been this. So if you have missteps, loading, unloading, loading and unloading colors a lot, I could see having some left over. Now, for me, this is one of the reasons I got another printer, is I can feed this through my other printers and I can reuse this plastic. But to be honest with you, if I just threw this in the trash and forgot about it, it wouldn't be that big of a thing, because for me, I've already got my value out of it, because my value was making this part. And it was making this part without worrying about having to stand here, having to watch it all the time. Is it going to print well? None of those worries. Now, I will tell you, like any 3D printer, I've gotten good and bad plastic. So some plastic is better than other plastics. There's a ton of videos out there that some people believe certain colors are better than other colors. I don't know, but I can tell you I've gotten better plastic and I've gotten worse plastic. So the blue plastic in here, you can see I made these feet for this leveler and everything out of it. This blue plastic, I'm not very happy with it. It's very stringy. It just doesn't do a good job. This red stuff that I got, and actually this red stuff came from that spool, really good. I mean the stranding on this, striations and everything. I mean, this is just a really nice piece. These are crappy pieces. I think a lot of it has to do with the moisture content in the plastic that you get, because one of the things you'll notice that these are typically come sealed, and even though ABS shouldn't absorb really too much water like PLA, I think there's some in the manufacturing process that gets in there. But anyways, I don't want to make this a dissertation on filament, but just know that you'll get some good or bad filament. And the thing is you may have to take a cartridge on the chin, and it's 27 bucks. Some people that might be a lot, some people it's not. In the bigger scope of things, what you have to look at is, again, you're not paying $1,000 for a printer. So if you have to throw away 27 bucks here or there, that's life. I mean, it's just part of the economics of it, and it's okay. At least in my book. So it might be different in yours, but I just want to kind of give full disclosure of all the different pieces, and you make the decision. So I've rambled on now for quite a while. I don't want this video to be too long, but for me, I'm happy with the Da Vinci. The other thing I will warn you of, don't expect really much customer service from these guys. I don't know where their customer service is at. I understand they're a Taiwan company. I don't know that for sure. I don't know if their support is out of there. I did have some initial problems when I bought this. They did push a firmware change that was pretty wanky and caused issues. They since after that pushed another firmware upgrade that fixed those problems. I wrote to them, and again, remember, I'm a little bit savvy with this. I've built a number of machines myself. I know how this should work, and I knew when there were problems with it, that there were problems in the firmware. And I wrote XYZprinting. I opened a ticket. I followed all their rules and basically got very little from them. They did respond, but it was from a script, and they wanted to know how many hours was the machine, and the machine hadn't even run like 16 hours. They wanted to know all this weird stuff. They wanted to know my invoice number. I purchased this from Amazon, and again, one of the things is for most of my purchases, I have to admit, I go to Amazon to get them, especially for something like this, because knock on wood, if I get some wood here, Amazon has never let me down. If I order something from Amazon, I have a problem with it, it is taken care of. So when I bought this, I knew that there was a little bit of controversy around it. I went to Amazon to buy it in case I had a problem. I didn't go to eBay, didn't buy it from another seller off there. I didn't buy it from another seller off the internet. And again, some people love Amazon, some people hate them, but their customer service is held true. Again, remember, same thing for the plastic. I buy all my plastic from Amazon. If I've got a problem, they've always fixed it for me. So so long as that continues, I will continue being a customer in that vein. But again, for the support, don't expect it. I think if I had a broken part or something, knock on wood I didn't, they would fix it under warranty, etc. I think they seem to be pretty honorable for a warranty issue, but that's going to be the limit, so be forewarned. You might get some open source companies that are probably a little bit better at it than these guys, but again, you're going to probably pay twice as much. So the real question is how much do you want to pay for what you're going to get? Again, I use this as a small factory. This thing prints when I'm home. It probably prints every day that I'm home. It prints something off Thingiverse or something I designed. I use this for a lot of prototyping. You guys have probably seen in my other videos. I use it for my videos. This thing gets a lot of use. This thing over here is broken half the time. And it's just because it's cute, but it's sort of a Rube Goldberg contraption. And I'm sure, refining the stuff, you can make it all better and everything, but it's fun to play with for what it is. But again, when I come down to needing real work done, this is the machine I go to. So this is the part I want to share with you guys on the internet that this is where I go to for that. And again, for $700, I still to this day have not found something that will compete with this unit for $700. You know, the camera cut there for a minute, probably telling me I'm getting too long-winded. Anyways, the dual extruder does, because they're side by side, does mean a smaller build area, even though the build area on all the Da Vincis are the same, because obviously it has to share the bed space, and some of that has to be lost to the separation distance of the two extruders, right? So that's one thing, buying the Duo versus the other one. But it's like 1 inch you give up. It's not huge for the Duo versus that. So it's something to be aware of. The other piece is, with the Duo, the other downside is the second head sometimes catches if a little bit of the object is sticking up. When the second head comes around, because the two heads are attached, it might catch it and pull it up. Once in a great while it happens, not all the time. So my suggestion, if you don't have a big need for two colors or something like that, buy the 1.0 version with the single head. Let's talk about the extruders for a second. Are they the best nozzles in that? No, they're good middle of the road. I run the E3D 5 and 6 on other machines. Those are really good heads, will get really good output, better than the Da Vinci, but it does come down a little bit to the plastic, and I do wonder if it is a little bit the plastic versus the head, because come on, let's face it, a nozzle is basically just an opening. So it really is the precision you feed the plastic through, but again, good middle of the road. 90% of your prints will come out more than acceptable. Again, price point, very good. ABS plastic. This housing is great for ABS plastic. ABS stinks. This stuff stinks. And if you print ABS on this, my wife bitches all the time when I print ABS on this, because even in the basement and away from her, it still stinks. This, I don't know why, because it's kind of contained. It really doesn't allow the spread of the ABS fumes that much. Little tip, I run 2 air cleaners in my shop area, 2 ion air cleaners. I've got a pretty big shop area down here. It's about 40 feet by, pretty close to about 40 feet by 16 feet, with about an 8-foot ceiling. And the 2 at each end of the room do a good job keeping the air clean down here. I also have a laser, which is vented outside, but still some fumes get in here, and they do a good job of cleaning that up too. So again, good suggestion there with this cover versus being open like this. So that's a good thing. So with any luck, I've given you some things to think about. And again, apologies, I know this video has been long, but I wanted to really put as many pieces out there about this device so you can make an educated decision whether to buy it or not. I don't think it's for everybody, but then again, nothing is for everybody. So it's really up to your taste and really what you want to do with it. Do you want to make, parts, and that's your end goal, is to get a part and do whatever you want with it on your race car, on your quadcopter, on your stereo? Then this printer is probably for you. If you want to play around, experiment with different filaments and the whole concept of 3D printing, well, this printer is probably not for you unless you want to use it to kind of get started, get the idea of it, and then move on to an open source model. Then that probably is. If you want to do all kinds of exotic filaments, again, this is probably not so much for you. You probably want to go with the more open source one. Now, I will suggest taking a look at the Da Vinci Pro, which is a single extruder open filament. Now again, it doesn't allow you, at least as I understand it right now, to run something like Repetier Host, but again, it does allow you more flexibility with the filaments. It does have an aluminum bed versus glass bed, which I really like over that, because this bed does wear over time. And it does allow you the ability to use PLA as well as ABS, which is a nice combination that I like. So you probably in my future videos will see an unboxing of a Pro. So anyways, again, hopefully this helped make you make some holiday buying decisions. Again, there'll be links on the website, DIY3DTech.com, to all the Da Vinci products, as well as non-Da Vinci products if you're interested. We have kits and everything on there that we've looked at and put on there. So head over there if you're interested in getting it. If you're interested in you know, Christmas gift, take a look. It's a good place to kind of get an idea. A lot of stuff on, again, if you want to do a DIY on eBay, etc. So, but anyways, please like below if this helped you out, help you make some decisions. Please subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.